questions about the independence of the judiciary coming, of course, from that damning comment, or what I call revelation, by a particular interesting senator who, well, a past senator, well, of course, he'll still be referred to as a senator. That's Senator Adamu Bukachua from Bauchi Central in Bauchi State, who gave what I can call a damning remark at the valedictory service of the 9th National Assembly. So, of course, we're going to be looking at the role of the judiciary. How truly independent is Nigeria's judicial arm of government? Of course, considering some of the developments that have happened after Senator Adamu Bukachua issued or made that particular statement. We've gotten reactions from the NBA, the Nigerian Bar Association. In fact, the Nigeria Judicial Council have also made recent comments to show that indeed they will be proceeding with the investigation of some particular judges. Of course, also tying that to that particular comment from Senator Adamu Bukachua from Bauchi State. Again, it's not. We have a bit of a number of sound bites that we're going to use on the show today. We're also going to take the sound bite from Senator Rochas Okorocha, also at that same valedictory service of the 9th Assembly. Of course, we'll also take the soundbite of Senator Adamu Bukachua to put proper context to that the particular issue that we are highlighting today. So basically, it is Senator Bukachua's comment: how truly independent is Nigeria's judicial arm of government? But again, we are going to extend our spotlight not away from judiciary, and we're going to be looking at the legislative arm of government. After all the back and forth, there are people who even said that election was more intense than the general election itself. That was the election to choose presiding officers for the 10th National Assembly. Eventually, we have presiding officers all elect now. We are hoping that other positions will be filled pretty soon. But the 10th National Assembly presiding officers election results has produced Senator Godswill Akpabio as the Senate President, Senator Jibrin Barau as the Deputy Senate President, and has also produced Senator Tajuddin Abbas as the Speaker, and Honorable Tajuddin Abbas as the Speaker, and Honorable Benjamin Kalu as the Deputy Speaker. But again, we're asking ourselves, any hopes for a more vibrant, independent National Assembly? Again, we are tying this particular question to the results of that particular election. Before the election of presiding officers for the 10th National Assembly, pundits have said that, look, the opposition was going to be a major determinant. The assumption then was that, look, the political parties, especially the Labour Party, the PDP, were going to, disrupt whatever calculation the APC had, with their nomination and zoning of the presiding officers. But we saw something completely different. When we get to that point, we are going to look at the composition of the 10th National Assembly and also check that with the results of the elections, and of course ask ourselves if indeed the results of the election will bring a more vibrant, independent National Assembly, or what we are going to see basically is a National Assembly that would be same of the old same. As I speak with you, they are developing stories that members of other political parties, the opposition, are already decamping to the ruling party, the APC. From Ondo State, I think members elect from the Labour Party and the PDP, the SDP, have actually moved to the APC. So that's just an update. It's a developing story. And we're asking ourselves if it's going to be the trend we're going to see with the 10th National Assembly. On the show today, we have Barrister Abiodun Bakari, because again, we are looking at the judiciary. So I had to really drag him into the show this evening to say, look, there's no way we're going to be talking about the judiciary without having a lawyer join us on the show. Good evening, Barrister Abiodun Bakari.
Good evening to you, Fuad.
Yes, my pleasure. My pleasure to have you on the show this evening.
Oh, my pleasure to be with you too.
Okay, yes. All right. So just hang in there. Let's give a proper context. Let's give the lead to this discussion, and then of course I'll bring you in. I also have here in the studio with me Mr. Joseph Folorunsho, a public affairs analyst. He's also going to be of course, giving us some brilliant analysis to the issues we have on the table this evening. Good evening, Joseph Olorenshaw.
Good evening, Fuad. Good evening, Lagos, and good evening, Nigeria.
All right. Again, we are streaming the show live. If you want to join us live, we're streaming the show live on Facebook, and the platform is Mainland FM 98.3. On Facebook, you can join us live on Mainland FM 98.3. We're also on YouTube, of course, streaming it on YouTube, Mainland FM 98.3. So on Facebook, Mainland FM 98.3, Mainland FM 98.3. Of course, we're going to make it interactive. Of course, that's the pattern of the show. So, but that will be on the second half of the show, where we open our phone lines for you to be a part of the conversation. But of course, you can also use social media platforms to also be a part of the show by dropping your comments and contribution on the show this evening. You can, of course, drop your message on Facebook. We're going to take it live. You can also drop your comments on YouTube. We would also read it out live when we start to take comments and contribution on the show. But again, let's go straight to the first issue on the roundtable this evening, and that's Senator Bukachua's comment. How truly independent is Nigeria judicial arm of government? But before we take the lead, I like that we take the sound bite so that, of course, you all listen to that particular comment. Of course, there's a backtrack already. Senator Bukachua said that it was misinterpreted, and that indeed what he meant to say was not the interpretation that was given to his comment, and that in fact the immediate past Senate president did not allow him to give proper context to what he was trying to say on that particular day. There's also a second soundbite. We take it back to back, and then of course we take our lead, and then of course start to really put proper analysis to the issue. And that was the comment from Senator Rochas Okorocha on how Senator Ahmed Lawan himself was able to return to the Senate. So let's take these two sound bites. Let's listen to it. Open our minds to what is being said here. Take notes of what you call the punchlines. I like to take note of punchlines when comments are made, and then of course we come back and then start to dissect the issues. It's still Political Roundtable, 98.3 FM. Let's just listen to these sound bites.
I know, I look at faces in this chamber whom have come to me and sought for my help when my wife was the president of the Court of Appeal. And I'm sure
the single Senator Adam Ahmed Bulkachua, I think I will advise that you just round up and take your
many names. We know ourselves.
No, but this kind of insinuation will mean that there was favor, there was this and the rest of it. I don't think it's a good idea.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I must say that, okay, to round up, since that's what you want me to do, I will do that. And I must thank particularly my wife, whose freedom and independence I encroached upon while she was in office. And she has been very tolerant and accepted my encroachment and extended her help to my colleagues.
Distinguished, please, I don't think this is a good idea, go in this direction. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea, please.
She's not there. Well, Mr. President, I will say thank you and I will sit down.
Thank you very much. The eldest
political book to discuss.
Sorry?
I said back is another chapter in our political history.
How I came back from where?
Mr. President, how you return to the Senate as a senator will open another chapter of great discussion in our political book. Because I was there in the field with you running for president. I never knew how you were able to meander and return and leaving some of us. Next time you must teach me how to do that.
It was easy. It was easy. I was there with you in the field, but after our defeat, my constituents thought they needed me again. And so they asked for me to come back. And it was a treacherous journey because we had to go through the courts. I didn't even appeal. A judgment that did not give me the contest. The party and the stakeholders in my constituency appealed on my behalf up to the Supreme Court. I refused. So there is nothing magical or remarkable. In fact, you have nothing to learn from what happened. The only thing is you are determined not to come back. I know if you had wanted to come back to the Senate, you would have even returned quicker than I would have returned.
Okay.
I round up now.
Mr. Senate President, I still say I want to be your student next time because it is more of the more you look, the less you see. My people, my people.
Well, my people, and well, again, it's important that we, of course, bring up some of these sound bites on the show so that, of course, we can put proper context to the show. Barrister Biodun, I'm sure you are still with us.
Yes, I'm with
Okay, and I'm sure you also listen to that sound bites.
you very well.
All right.
I did.
All right. So now, to a great extent, I must say that relationship between the judiciary and the populace.
You have 1 minute remaining.
And the populace is largely that of doubt and mistrust. The reason is mostly because of the conflicting and often seemingly illogical decisions emanating from the courtrooms, particularly on electoral political matters. Sadly, these inconsistencies demonstrated by the Nigerian courts in recent times have been so consistent that they significantly diminish public trust in the dignity and integrity of the judiciary as presently constituted. Recently, of course, we just listened to Senator Adamu Bukachua of Bauchi State made doubting comments that have sent many wondering if truly we have an independent judiciary. Another remarkable instance is the decision of the Supreme Court in the All Progressives APC versus Bashiru Machina, in which the court held that Senator Ahmed Lawan, the immediate past president of the Senate, was the authentic senatorial candidate for Yobe North Senatorial District. Of course, that's the reason why, of course, Senator Okorocha was saying that he wants to be a student. But let's just take a look. Let's dissect that judgment in itself. It's on public record that Machina won the Yobe North senatorial primary election conducted by the APC under the supervision of INEC on May 28, 2022. It's also a fact of common knowledge that Senator Lawan did not participate in the set senatorial primary, but took part in the party's presidential primary that was held on June 8, 2022. Please let's take note of the date. However, the APC submitted the name of Senator Lawan to INEC as its candidate for the Yobe North senatorial seat. Justifying its action, APC claimed that Mr. Danjuma Manga, the police official that presided over the initial primary election, which produced Machina as the winner, was not authorized to do so by the party's National Working Committee. Consequently, the party conducted a fresh primary on June 9, 2022, which then produced Lawan as the winner. It should be noted that APC did not furnish the required notice of the June 9 primary to both INEC and Machina before conducting the alleged second primary. In delivering its majority decision, the three justices against two who dissented, the apex court, that's the Senate, the Supreme Court, rather than resolve the fundamental issue that goes to the root of the case, appeared more fixated on the letters of the originating process instead. In supporting affidavit, Machina had alleged that the APC fraudulently substituted his name with the name of Senator Lawan. That look, how the name of Lawan was submitted was fraudulently done. That was what Machina was saying. But the apex court, in majority judgment of 3-5, simply held that since Machina's allegations bordered on fraud against the APC and Lawan, he ought to have initiated the action via writ of summons instead of originating summons. On this singular ground, and without delving into the merits of the appeal, the court declared Senator Lawan as a lawful candidate of the APC for Yobe North Senatorial District. Now, that case was decided not on its merits, but on technicalities. I'm going to start with you, Barrister Biodun Bakari. Again, we are bringing all of this to the table, again, to set the agenda. And I like the fact that, look, democracy anywhere in the world cannot survive without a truly independent judiciary and a judiciary that the people can trust. I brought up these two cases. There are several that we're going to highlight as we continue to discuss. You are a lawyer, Mr. Bakari. How disturbed are you?
Thank you so much for having me today, and I welcome our guests and my other discussants and in the studio. Yes. Well, the issues are as you have painted them. You have truly described the state of confusion that we are in your intro, and I give you credit for that. But you see, like I always say, politics often sacrifice law anytime there is a need for sacrifice, as far as Nigeria is concerned. And the people are confused, just as lawyers are. And as officers of the Temple of Justice, we are trained and nurtured to see the reasonings and wisdom of the justices as supreme, except if we have the opportunity of appeal. But when it comes to the Supreme Court, of course, that is the apex court, and we don't always, there's no option for appeal when the Supreme Court, the justices in their wisdom come up with decisions and judgments and rulings. No matter how you feel, as lawyers, we are trained to live by it, since the Supreme Court is the final court of the land. I say that as an introduction. But as to the Ahmed Lawan issue, on the one hand, as lawyers, the court will play down technicalities and address the main issue of dispute. In another breath, the same court will emphasize technicality and play down on the substance of the matter. But I know for sure that there's a problem with the Electoral Act 2022, particularly in Section 152. Section 152 of the Electoral Act 2022 explain a candidate to mean a person who has secured the nomination of a political party to contest an election for an elective office. Now, this is simply the lacuna that the likes of Ahmed Lawan, the likes of...
sorry, Mr. Bakri, sorry to cut in. Please, I want to tell our listeners to please hold on till we open the phone lines for contributions. You know, this is not the time to call in on the show. We know you are eager to jump on these two issues, but then please, let's wait till when we open up our phone lines so that you can actually call in and, of course, make your contribution. Like we said, we're also streaming the show live on Facebook and YouTube, and can also drop your comments. I'll just wait till when we open the phone lines. You can go on, by Sabakari.
Yes, thank you so much. So I was saying that the Ahmed Lawan, because of course, you know, I'm a lawyer and I'm not going to come on air to tell you that this judgment was influenced, this ruling was influenced, blah, blah, blah. We are happy that Senator Adamu Muhammad Bokachua was able to do that on the floor of the National Assembly. But as a lawyer, I'm not going to tell you any of such. But on the facts of the law, the definition of who a candidate is in Section 152 of the Electoral Act 2022 was really used by the politicians who, in my opinion, framed it to be that way. That definition of who a candidate is was used, I know, by the now Senate President, by the then Senate President, and by the former governor of, I think,
Umai.
Yes. They took advantage of the definition of who a candidate is to interpret that as at the time they were running for those other offices, in the instance now I'm referring to the nomination for being a president.
The president of the APC,
Yeah, the APC, but that as at the time they were doing that, they were not candidates. So to the extent that they could not be limited to now jump into other race, other nomination, other contests, because they were not candidates, because they were not having the nomination of the political party to contest. They didn't get the nomination. So because they didn't get the nomination, therefore you can't say that they are candidates. Because they are not candidates, they are still free to jump into the realm of picking nomination for senator, while they have earlier gone to pick the form to attempt to be president. So we need some form of legislative correctness in that regard. So the Electoral Act 2022 will need to be worked on to take care of that mischief. That is also in the area of introduction. Now, on the main issue is that another issue which is opening up this confusion is the supremacy of the political parties. We have had this argument starting from the Rotimi Amechi's case, while it was the decision that brought in
as governor
that caused confusion for Rotimi Amechi in Rivers, which was later resolved by the same Supreme Court, wherein the argument is that the political parties are usually supreme, and whatever the political parties do, it should be what the law should take note of, rather than what the process brings along. It is in that regard that you now have a political party like APC. After conducting a primary that brought in Machina, returned back to INEC to tell INEC that the officer that conducted that primaries never had the blessing of the party
to submit the
Can you imagine? Now, the question of the supremacy of the party arose in that instance. And the court has always been giving judgment and ruling to favor the supremacy statement of the political party. That the party is supreme and that the party has the choice to forward or not to forward the name or names of candidates that are to represent it in any political contest. So the conversation is in those three aspects, and we can go on and begin to open them up as the conversation continues. First, I told you of the constitutional statutory provision in section 152, which defines who a candidate is. Then the issue of supremacy of the constitution, and thirdly, that when politics and law clash, politics up to sacrifice law, like those of us who are Christians and those of us who are Muslims, when we want to kill Ileya Ram and want to kill chicken for Christmas, we just take the knife and we slaughter it. Law is often sacrificed, in my opinion, by politics when the need arises, and that is why the court is always in the middle of the confusion. And fourthly, I may add that you now have the issue of the lack of independence of the judiciary completely now. So that becomes the fourth struggle that we have to face. And I can tell you that's also another area that we can also engage ourselves in.
Okay. Well, I understand where you're coming from. I understand that as a lawyer, you just want to maintain a position that does not see you, of course, dragging the temple of justice in the mud, I assume. But the reality is that, look, this issue speaks for themselves, and they speak to the truth that we're trying to highlight on the political roundtable this evening. Just sure, like I said, there's already a reaction from the NBA, which has called for the investigation of Senator Adamu Bokachua. Although, like I said, he has, of course, withdrawn a statement saying that, look, whatever he said was misinterpreted. He was trying to explain, but he wasn't allowed to give proper context to what he was trying to say. I think in my conversation with Barrister Bakare this morning, he said that, look, unfortunately, the former justice of the appeal court, Justice Bukachua, the wife, cannot be prosecuted on whatever the husband has said. But again, before I allow you to come on this particular issue, in 2019, something happened that a lot of people may not know, and it's important that we also talk about it this evening. That look, as a justice of the appeal court, during the presidential petition before her, before the appeal court, she had actually recused herself because of similar allegations, and I explained that the Court of Appeal president at that time, Zainab Bukachua, recused herself from presiding over and being a member of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. She mentioned personal ground as a reason for the decision. She recused herself. That was the case between the APC and the PDP. That was Buhari, Atiku at that time. Mrs. Bukachua announced the decision after a 5-member panel of the court ruled against the application brought by the PDP, the opposition party, and its presidential candidate at that time, Atiku Abubakar, who had challenged our membership of the tribunal on the account of our relationships with 2 members of the APC. The PDP and Mr. Abubakar were challenging the victory of President Muhammadu Buhari of the APC in the then February election conducted in 2019. The PDP had approached the court after the inaugural sitting of the tribunal on May 8, 2019, accusing Mrs. Bukachua of having the likelihood of bias on the grounds that her husband, Adamu Bukachua, and her son, Aliyu Bukachua, are both members of the APC. Mrs. Bukachua's husband was controversially picked. So even the way her husband emerged as a senator at that time had some controversy surrounding it. And, it was controversially picked by the APC to represent the party ahead of the 2019 senatorial election. He won that election eventually and became a senator. The PDP also asked Bukachua to recuse herself from further presiding or participating as a member of the tribunal after the party cited some of her comments during the tribunal's inaugural sitting. Part of the comments included Mrs. Bukachua submitting that no matter how well elections are conducted, they were bound to be complaints. And so the PDP held on to that. She's already even giving an idea of where the ruling would go. Again, we are not trying to preempt the court or trying to bring the temple of justice to disrepute. But Joseph Folosho, you are not a lawyer. But you've been following these cases. You know about these cases. We've listened to the soundbite. I'm going to play it again before we open the phone lines. But again, as a political analyst who are following keenly, how disturbed are you with some of the inconsistencies that become consistent in our courts?
Well, to me, I am not disturbed. The reason is just simple. Let me look at the comment from NBA point of view. It is because of the people court that is making NBA to say, okay, I think
the outcry from the people,
that is what is causing the problem. I am not disturbed because I have my knowledge in criminology. Make us to know Nigeria. We say Nigeria is one. But in reality, some of our activities making us not to be one. In the southern part of Nigeria, we deal with a criminal code in respect of activity relating to our judicial system. But if you go to the north, they look at the penal code. There are some things that here we look at them as an offense. In the other side, it's not an offense.
Seen as such.
It's not. Let's look at the issue of assault. If Sheun Kuti do what he did at Tomiland Bridge, maybe in Yobe or in Kano, I don't think if you go to court, you will lose that. They will just be looking at you because there an assault in criminal code say that except you inflict maybe
bodily harm
on an individual, and that's why they say okay, a husband can actually discipline maybe through other with the wife. So far, did not inflict injury. The same thing with a teacher to a student and the rest of it. So I think we should find a way to balance this because like what Lawa is saying, you don't see it here. It is because here we are crying that it is
a problem.
You understand? But there they will look. They are using the issue of politics is a game. Is a war without bloodshed. You understand? Lawa look okay. I think since I couldn't make it down to be
the president
candidate, then you just look at okay, who should I talk to within the party and look at what the National Working Committee actually did. And one thing that I want us to look at from what has happened so far is let's borrow what the immediate past president said during Saraki as the Senate president. He said the world is watching us.
The world is watching us.
The world is watching us. So whether you are a senator, whether you are a judge, whether you are a president, whoever you are, just know that the world is watching us. Because a situation whereby we don't embrace the rule of law. We lost morality and the rest of them. Imagine that someone did not participate in marriage
At all.
at all. Another senator is now saying, "Do you know what? I want to be your student." By implication, is passing a serious
message.
What senator or former governor of Imo
Rochas
State
or Okorocha.
said, if you want to put it in a book, it will be more than the Bible or more than a dictionary. You understand that? I want to actually be
Your student to learn how you imagine.
How you imagine. Let's look at what. How do you not explain to Machina's son or himself or his daughter that Nigeria, there's what we call justice. You understand it? Because according to the party APC law, that man's supposed to be the authentic candidate of the party.
That's Machina.
Yeah, Machina. But they went to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court is just telling you a different thing entirely. So I think it's time for, just like what our big lawyer said, it is time for us to, Supreme Court should not be operating from both sides. Here they say technicality.
Yeah, they say the merit of the case.
Here they say the merit of the case. Then which side do we
pick precisely?
Because, for example, if you look at what is going on in many times in the judiciary and the rest of them, people are beginning to be losing faith in the judiciary as a common. Judiciary is the last hope of the common man. It means that some of these guys, they are not common.
Again, to take the issue of technicalities by Mr. Bakari, before we came on the show, while prepping ourselves, Joseph Rocha shared something with me, a link, and that's the ruling. You know, there's a case on the tenure of the IGP, and you know, some individuals have gone to court to say that, look, this man is overstaying his constitutional, right as the IGP because he's over 60 years. Even according to Police Act and the law, that look, as a public official, immediately you are 60 years.
Or 35 years in service.
Or 35 years in service, you should retire. He's over 60. The case went to court. The IGP appealed, and there's a judgment already in his favor on technical grounds. That look, because the initial because at the point when that initial case was being decided or introduced in the court, he was not served a notice, and on that ground, the merit of whether it was over 60 years, whether it was overstaying, or what the Police Act says or what the Constitution says does not matter. And so that look, that case was decided because the IGP was not served a notice, original notice, when the case was brought to the court. Again, we can continue to highlight some of these things, but let me take the position of the NJC currently, and then bring it again by Mr. Bakari. The National Judicial Council has okayed the investigation of 7 judges who were accused of engaging in sundry acts of corruption. So it means the NJC also knows that there's trouble somewhere. The legal body, which is statutorily empowered to discipline erring judicial officers in the country, said it set up panels to probe the judges after a 2-day meeting it held on June 14 and 15. The meeting, according to a statement that was signed by the Director of Information at the NJC, Mr. Soji Oye, was chaired by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Justice Kayode Ariwola, who doubles as the chairman of the council. The action is coming at a time when stakeholders in the justice sector are demanding an investigation into a claim by federal lawmaker and husband to a former president of the Court of Appeal, which indicted the judiciary. The Nigerian Bar Association had described as shocking a public confession by Senator Adamu Bokachua that he influenced the decisions of his wife, Justice Zainab Bokachua, while she was the president of the appellate court. Meanwhile, even though the NJC did not disclose names of the other judges under probe, it however revealed that they are judicial officers from the Court of Appeal and State High Court. Again, by Sabakari, no matter how you want to paint it, the NJC knows there's a problem somewhere. And I ask you, beyond investigation and trying to reprimand erring judges and all of that, are there things that you think we can do in terms of legislative framework constitutionally that can guarantee more independence, and then of course highlight situations where judges decide to be corrupt or err to the side of the law, on the side of the law, sorry?
Well, let me make it crystal clear at this point that there is justice in our judiciary. We have the judiciary, the Nigerian judiciary remains the last hope of the common man. There's no doubt about that. I can tell you that Nigerians go to court every day, bringing their issues of dispute, and they get substantial justice. The Nigerian court is made up of men and women that are competent, that are sincere, and that they are truthful to themselves and to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Yes, we have certain elements. Yes, we have areas wherein we need to up our game. Yes, there is this rush for influence, particularly from the side of politicians. Nobody is doubting that fact. But I can tell you that the Nigerian judiciary remains the last hope and the only hope of the Nigerian people. And nobody should doubt that, because we operate daily in this field, and we can tell you that justice is being served by the Nigerian judiciary on a daily basis, without bias, without
fear or favor,
without favor. But this limited aspect of it is the side of politicians trying to get their way, attempting to get their way through by all means. And it is in that regard that you have the incidences of influence as alleged or as made public by Senator Ahmed Mohamed Bukachua. Now, having said that, you see, the question you have asked about the Nigerian Judicial Council attempting to investigate or giving instruction to investigate 7 or more judges. Unfortunately, in the case of Zainab Bukachua, the time has passed. Really, whatever judges is to be investigated, whatever judge or judges to be investigated now will be judges who are still serving and who have allegation of some corrupt acts, some corrupt actions against them. But for the former president who handed over to Mason, I think the new president of the Court of Appeal is also a woman who has distinguished herself in service. And we understand that she is ready and she has been doing a great job since she was handed that position since June of this year. So, but as for the president of the Court of Appeal, there's really nothing by law. I speak law now because there's no morality in law. There is no morality in law. There is no psychology in law. There is a little bit of sociology in law, but law itself is purely law. And whatever you want to address by law, you have to address it by law itself. As far as law is concerned, because Mrs. Zainab Bukachua has left the office, she's no more a judicial officer. Hardly can anything be done as per her case. Now, as to whether we need to make certain legislative amendments or legislative introduction into our laws to be able to strengthen the independence of the judiciary
and shield them from politicians, majorly from the influence of politicians. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I find that may be extremely difficult to do, particularly the way and manner we still play our politics in Nigeria. I can tell you, for example, does the law provide for the president to be able to suspend the CBN governor? No, in my humble opinion, there is no place for suspension of the CBN governor within the CBN Act. The same way the CBN governor was appointed and his appointment approved by the Senate, the same way he is to be removed. So what Mr. President ought to have done is to have waited for the National Assembly to be convened, and then he sent in through a bill, through a request to the National Assembly, asking them to get two-thirds support for Mr. Godwin Emefiele to be removed. And once that is done at the floor of the Senate, Mr. Emefiele remains removed, and then the EFCC can now come in and then invite him and say, now that you are out of office, give us explanation on this and this. But you know, the Nigerian people are always a people of the moment. They are Nigerians of the moment. the expediency of the time. I don't have no waiting brief for Godwin Emefiele because he damaged the psyche of the Nigerian people with his design policy. But Nigerians must always be the process people. Like the case you made reference to in your analogy, wherein the police, the IG of police, that he has overstayed his time. Normally, it may hurt an average Nigerian that why should you abandon the main issue? I'm talking of service. But the law is first process, then law. Particularly essential process like service, like notice, like process, service of processes. It cannot be abandoned by the court because they are essential elements of the pathway or to the pathway of whatever justice that may come. So Nigerians may not be happy that the court say, oh, because you serve the ID, therefore you can't go on. But that is just how the law works. So it is for the lawyers who are whatever. That's why we are trained to be dutiful. We are not only trained to know the law, we are trained to be dutiful in following through the process of the law. Because if you don't do it, then your knowledge of the law may be questioned. And that's exactly what is happening with the ID case. But summarily put, whether we now need to make laws that can shield, I hope that can be done. But with the Nigerian politician, an average Nigerian politician, look at the way they were celebrating their house madness. If you look at the senators, if you look at the way they, even on the floor of the house, even on issues that concern them as senators, they still manipulate, they still meander, they still manipulate within themselves and try to triangulate themselves so that whatever comes to me. These are the same people who are capable of engaging members of the judiciary. They are capable of introducing any element. So the experience of the Nigerian politician, I don't know whether a statutory legislation can help it, but we hope that as things are unfolding, and I'm happy with Senator Zainab Bukachua, Senator Ahmed Muhammad. I'm happy because at 83 years old, I think the man wants to let go some of the body in his heart, and he wanted to just let his colleague know that fellow senators that he said that interview that we know ourselves. We know ourselves.
He kept saying.
And when the Ahmed Lawan wanted to shut him down, he said we know ourselves. So there's no issue of the man knew what he wanted to say. He wanted to pour out an aspect of his personal life that probably has been bothering him, in my opinion. And he wanted to, he said it in that statement too that they have appreciated me only in words. I don't know whether it is there. He said the senators that my wife helped have only appreciated me in words. So that means probably they were supposed to come both in words and in some other
kind.
They didn't come. They didn't in some other kind, and they didn't show forth. So he wanted to make it public that you promised you are going to do this, but you only thanked me in words. So the man spoke the truth. The man told Nigerians at 33 years old he will be lying over what he said about his wife. The wife that I know gave him 3 boys. That the president of the court of appeal has 3 male child for Senator Ahmed Bukachua. So it's an it's a disgraceful information. It's an embarrassment to the status of Nigeria. It's an embarrassment to the judiciary. But the impatience, the ability of the Nigerian politician to be ready to do whatever it takes to get power. I think that's where the issue is. It is that attitude that we must abandon. Whether legislation can do it, maybe time will tell.
Well, I've always said it, Joseph Olorunso, that when it comes to election matters, one would think that it is more of human interest than technicalities, because it deals with the mandates of the people, the emotions of the people, the life of the people. I think one of the biggest cases ever mentioned in Nigeria, that ever happened in Nigeria, that are technicalities deciding the case, or that highlighted the issue of technicalities when it came to election, was the issue of 2/3 of 19 during the Awolowo Shagari election in the 70s. I'm sure Baisa Bakari knows what I'm trying to talk about. I never see
Yes,
that.
yes, I do.
There have been questions about using technicalities to decide cases, or we use the merit and all of that. We are, the last lap of the election cycle in Nigeria is still ongoing. The courts are sitting, the tribunals are sitting. The governorship elections will go through 3 stages of the courts. The National Assembly, State Assembly will go through 2 stages. Of course, the presidential election will go through 2 stages, and most likely most of these cases will go through the wires. But then, as somebody who is not a lawyer, but somebody who participates actively in the democratic process, how do you feel when election matters that is about the interest of the people and the mandate of the people are decided on technicalities, mere technicalities? How do you feel?
I feel very bad, but the lawyer, our brilliant lawyer, have said one thing: that Nigeria, we are people that live for a moment, and it's very, very bad, extremely very bad. Like what he said, yes, the justice, they may not be any need, we cannot even prosecute him, but in civilized country, that matter can be, you can investigate it, get the true picture of what the husband was saying against the respect of the wife, but let us have it on record that this thing actually happened, but time have elapsed that we cannot prosecute the woman. It is not only this senator. You know, the late brilliant, distinguished senator, Abraham, the man from Nasarawa State.
Nasarawa State, yeah.
Before his death, he said this is time for confession. He described how they have been rigging election.
So we will be.
I have forgotten that for every election season, what are the lessons we pick for Abraham?
Revelations then about rigging of elections and all of that.
The process is still on. I think it is time for us to sit down and say, do you know what? If our democratic system must move on, one, there should be discipline in respect of the party. Who are these national working
committees that decide what?
Who are these people that will just look for? Okay, don't mind the people that will elect this person. Let's
decide what we want to decide. Yeah.
Send it to them. Then the people again, by the time we get the people of Yobe North, what they would have done if they are politically savvy, if they are politically active, okay, the candidate that you brought now, we know the candidate that actually
we voted for, yeah.
We don't move to another party, just in form of a protest vote, so that this thing, if the people that have done that, the politician, the party will sit down and say, if we treat these people anyhow, then they will respond by telling us that is not the only party that have candidates in that system. Nigeria is a country that we will see the wrong thing, we will do it, and I explain,
and damn the consequence.
We just have to do it. So it is time for us to look at one. If you want to do anything, you look at the morality, then you look at the law, then look at the process there. But Nigeria, we don't factor in all these things. It's just interest. Who's the next person? Because, for example, you see someone that was a presidential candidate. There's no country that this kind of thing can happen. He was a presidential candidate, and at the end of the day, he could not get it. Then you should give chance. I think he has been a senator for how many numbers?
God knows.
But does it mean that he cannot exist without being a senator? And to me, how will you feel, Fuad, that you are formerly a Senate president? You're not a floor member. And what if the Senate president will just summon you? That's people that we have. Well, come and see me. Or wait, the Senate president is meeting. So Nigeria should, this kind of before we start the program, we were looking at what Tony Blair was doing with China. This is former prime
helping
minister.
his country with diplomatic movement,
so
advocacy.
Okay, I think I've tried to be a senator, a Senate president. Let me.
There are other things I can do for my country.
Not for you to now turn the whole morality law into upside down, just for you to. Anyhow, let me just
go back to the Senate. Well, again, I think this is a conversation that cannot end today because the call for a truly independent judiciary is a call that we must continue to make. Because, again, like Baisa Bakari said, it is the last hope of the common man.
But, Fuad,
yes.
I think it is time in psychology or something that help us. Who is that common man? Let's define common man.
Who are really the common man?
What we have been saying that is the last one of common man. If we cannot define common man,
who the common man is? I'm a common man.
How do you know whether you're a common man?
But on a very serious note, I think it's a conversation that we will continue to have, because indeed the temple of justice is that hope that we must continue to talk about, and hope that the right thing is done at all times. We really don't have any other choice, because again, Maybe there's no hope in our judiciary, then what is left of us as a people? So that's the reason why we must continue to talk about the judiciary and the need to guarantee the independence of the judiciary. But again, let's move to the second issue on the roundtable, and that is the 10th National Assembly. It means that we're moving to the legislative arm of government, which is also an integral arm of any democratic experiment or experience as we have it. And we're looking at this now from the results of the elections that has brought in new presiding officers of the 10th National Assembly. We have Senator Godswill Akpabio as the Senate President, who defeated Abdulaziz Yari, the former governor of Zamfara State, in what could be said to be somewhat of a keenly contested elections. 63 votes to 45. You will tell me
46
to 46.
Yeah.
You would agree with me. Was a decent showing by Senator Abdulaziz Yari, who against all odds, against the interest of the party, against the decision of the party, decided to go out there and contest that election. But in the House of Reps, it was a whitewash, a landslide, because TJ Abbas defeated other contestants with a margin that, again, 352 to others, the three others having 3 votes each. But our question here is this, Professor Bakari, Joseph Olorunso. Before these elections, everybody had talked about the power of the opposition as composed in the 10th Assembly. For example, in the Senate, the APC has 59, and the entire opposition parties had 50, with the PDP having 36, Labour Party 8, SDP 2, NNDP 2, YPP 1, and ABGA 1. And then, of course, at the House of Reps for the first time, the opposition had the higher number of elected members, with the APC having 178, the PDP 117, Labour Party 35, NNPP 19, ABGA 5, SDP 2, ADC 2, YPP 1, making 181. We shouldn't forget that a PDP House of Reps member elect in Taraba State died even before inauguration, and a supplementary election is yet to be conducted in that constituency. So the calculation at that time was that, look, it was going to be tough. The opposition would have to stand together to really guarantee the independence of the National Assembly by not necessarily kowtowing to the interest of the APC and its National Working Committee. But look, the results are out, and it seems that, look, all National Assembly members elect as senator and House of Reps member did not follow any party pattern, but individual pattern. The height of it all, which was the high point of all of the elections, the voting process, was a particular Labour Party House of Reps member who said that, look, his heart was somewhere, but his vote will be going somewhere else. So we're looking at all of this and saying that, look, all of the excitement about a more robust assembly because the opposition now have the numbers. Can we continue to hope on that excitement again? Can we continue to hope that such a robust house would emerge from what we have now, considering the results of the elections and the fact that, look, we are just having a breaking news just as we're entering the studio that assembly members have started to defect to the APC. In Ondo State, 2 House of Reps members have now defected to the APC. I'll start with you, Mr. Bakari. How hopeful are you that, look, this 10th Assembly will give us something different from the robust assembly we saw with the 9th National Assembly?
Sincerely speaking to you, let me tell you the fact. In fact, this time, my hope is even less compared to the kind of hope I had when the former president and the former government was there. This time, it's going to just be the government of the executive, purely speaking. Because my understanding, a little bit of observation of the now Senate President in the person of Senator Akpabio, in my opinion, is a fit for all purpose kind of person. Just let me know what you want, and I will maneuver it anyhow. That's the kind of politics he has been playing. He was in PDP. He already calculated that there will be some juicy places, opportunity in APC. He moved, tried to pull down PDP and tried to destroy it. Not until the former governor who took over from him, Emmanuel, who didn't play his card, he didn't play his card, he decided not to play his card, and that is why PDP is still existing in Akwa Ibom State. So I don't see him as a man of one particular principle. You know, those ancient kind of old kind of politicians like the Awolowos, who you can already tell where they belong,
where they stand on an issue,
where they understand the kind of people we have now is they can be here this morning and give you this language and tell you this story and give you this assurance. By the midnight, they are on the other side, depending on what we come for it. So I don't have any specific, any kind of hope as far as I'm concerned. I'm not seeing any strengthening National Assembly. I'm not expecting any kind of to the book, to the details kind of
National Assembly.
I'm not hopeful for any kind of outstanding engagement with the executive. I'm not expecting any dissenting opinion, any dissenting voice. I'm not expecting any disagreement, healthy one. Now, when I talk about disagreement, we're not saying that the Assembly should be fighting with the executive or it should be a situation. No, I'm talking about dissenting National Assembly based on facts and figures available to say, the executive, you want to do A and B. But from the facts and figures available to us, we discover that there's no how you're going to get result from that A and B you intend to do. I don't see that kind of National Assembly in this time. And like it should be said, National Assembly remains to me, it should be the focus of the Nigerian people. The National Assembly should be the focus of the Nigerian in terms of analysis. The journalists and the entire media apparatus should be focused on the National Assembly, because that's where the whole shenanigans take place. Their oversight function, the way. Look at the aviation, the cartoon airplane that we were given by
Nigeria Air.
Nigeria Air. It was now you have the National Assembly who is now inviting people. It's because they were not up and doing. So the National Assembly can help us in terms of fighting insecurity. The National Assembly can help us in terms of look at the disparity of the law that my colleague in the studio there was making reference to when he was talking about the differences in the law in the North
criminal code and the penal code,
the criminal code and the penal code. For example, in the North, blasphemy is an offense. In the South, blasphemy is nothing. So if somebody gets killed in Kano for blasphemy, and the same person, if the person were to be in Ogun State, will not be killed. So we have a system where our laws are scattered because of the judicial kind of inheritance we had from the British, our former colonial master. Somebody needs to codify. We need a National Assembly that can help us. We have some ancient laws, Higher Purchase Act, far back of 17something. We have laws that we need to. We need an active National Assembly. And luckily, Senator Akpabio himself is a lawyer. But what is the assurance that is going to hold on to the tenet of the Constitution? What is it that? How am I sure that when it comes to issue of the process, like I just told you about the governor, how to get a CBN governor out? It's either appointment or removal. There's no other word in between appointment and removal. Now we have introduced, since Jonathan did it with Lamido Sanusi in 2014. Now we have borrowed that word, suspension. How can I be sure that I can have a National Assembly that can tell the Mr. President, say, no, Mr. President, from this law, the act governing
the CBN. Oh, okay. I think we lost Barrister Bakare. We'll try and reconnect back to him. But again, we are streaming the show live on Facebook, Mainland FM 98.3, and we're also on YouTube at Mainland FM 98.3. You can drop your comments and contribution on the two platforms on Facebook. Again, Mainland FM 98.3 and YouTube, Mainland 98.3 FM. You can watch the show live and drop your comments there. We'll try and reconnect back to Barrister Abiodun Bakare. But again, Joseph Folonshaw, it was the talk of town. Like, there are people who said, look, that election was even more keenly contested than the general elections, because there was a lot of back and forth. In fact, we saw contestants, senators, reps, members moving around the country, visiting royal fathers, talking to organized labor unions, political. It was really a very robust engagement as far as politicking is concerned. The ones that we know, there are people who have said that, look, there were other politicking going on that we were not open to the people. But again, there was a major conversation about the strength of the opposition, and what I thought that, look, that was going to be a major decider with the outcome of the election. But look, the results have shown that, look, the senators and reps members went there with their own individual minds, and they must have cast their votes on that premise. But again, how were there any surprises for you, Joseph Folonshaw, or you expected this to happen?
Well, I expect this because assuming it is the former president. Assuming it is the former president that was there.
That's President Buhari.
Yari would have been the Senate, would have taken that, would have defeated Akpabo in the last election. But if you look at Tinubu is an institution. When we talk of politics, he know how to play. He know the game. If research, also information get wrong, that this man was calling every member, whether honorable or senator, talking to them, please, I want to work. I need your support for Akpabio to be the Senate president. And if you equally look at it, that very day, almost a higher percentage of the governors in Nigeria were in that house.
Watching as things were going.
No, they are not watching. They were
teleguiding the activities.
They want to see how why you are going to make sure, what are you going to do to change
the wish of the APC and the president,
not the wish of Nigeria. Then if you go back some of the issue from the president, is it 2020 election in Edo State? The issue of vote out Obaseki when it was APC national leader, then vote out APC in that election. The campaign that the was campaigning was in Edo State. I told everybody in the audience, please vote for me. I will make sure that PDP will not come back in the next Edo State election is next year. That PDP will not come back. I will ensure that APC take the governorship seat in Edo State. So what I'm saying is this: Senator Bola Tinubu, President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, is a politician who will do everything possible to ensure that his party remain very relevant. My fear is this: Nigeria should not be a one-party system.
A one-party state.
If we are not careful with the way things are going, because some of our lawmakers they don't have single independent mind. They don't have. I have one one of the newspaper the other day after the election. He said that the APC they target this man, Senator Yari, as a rebel APC member. I said, no, how will you call this man a rebel? He's a politician, and every serious politician, you express yourself. You can say, I want to be a governor. You can say, I want to be a Senate president. You can say, I want to be a speaker. You haven't committed any law. You already committed any offense. You understand it? So, but for you to not tag him as a rebel member or a rebel senator, it is completely wrong. So, what Nigeria should guide now with what is going on is Nigeria should not be
descending to a one-party state.
No, not even. Nigeria should not turn to one-party state. If it turns to one-party state, then we go to monarchical system of government.
Well, by Sabakari, before we open the phone lines, Joseph Folonshaw has raised the concerns of some Nigerians here, because the supporters of the new president would always come with that narrative of the fact that, look, when it comes to politics, he understands the game very well, and that he has what it takes to whip everybody to line for what he wants. And there are people who are already celebrating the fact that, look, his wishes were what we eventually saw with the elections of the 10th National Assembly. But there are people who genuinely feel that we have to be careful to encourage these kinds of things, because we may be descending quietly into a one-party state where the decision of the president is what holds, no matter what anybody feels or what the country feels about it. You also know that kind of fear that, look, we may be quietly descending into a one-party state where it's just the APC and the wishes of the president become supreme.
Well, that's a possibility, and I can tell you, the current set of politicians are really working towards that direction. I know for sure that a president do make error. Nobody is really infallible. So, no matter the good intentions of Mr. President, in the course of executing those intentions, there's possibility, because of the human being, there's possibility for a miscalculation, there's possibility for a misstep. And it is in that regard that I'm looking forward to a National Assembly that is at the other side, so to say. So that there can be that pointer, that public observation that, Mr. President, this is the way you are looking at it. But from what we are looking at, it is different. Therefore, can we have a balance? Look at the trouble look at the embarrassment that we are in as a nation, because you had one Mr. President Buhari and one Mr. Senate President Ahmed Lawan, who told us that whatever Mr. President asks for, he will give to him. Look at the result of it. We are indebted even as far back as generations to come, and there is embarrassment as far as Nigeria is concerned when you travel outside the country. There is, even within us, we are having domestic debt that is beyond. Look at the rate of the naira to the dollar. I'm referring to the previous government because of this nature, this style.
This rubber stamp idea of the president can never be wrong.
I personally always wish that a political party holds the executive side and another political party controls the National Assembly for a healthy, not because I'm encouraging discord or an atmosphere of war. No, but I know that at that point it will be possible for Nigerians to be able to understand that there's an error here, because the National Assembly rules that is usually that I think should be controlled by the other political party. We'll be able to let Nigerians know that Mr. President and the executive will be making an error if they are approaching this. But what we're going to have now that they have told us severally, like my colleague was saying in the studio, Mr. President is a good politician. He knows how to whip everybody in line. I don't always like to hear such statements when you are dealing with human beings. It is, look at Lagos, for example. He has whipped everybody in line in Lagos State. Look at the state of Lagos in terms of road. Yet he has whipped everybody in line. Look at the state of Lagos in terms of health facility. He has whipped everybody in line. Look at the state of Lagos in terms of lighting of our roads. When you drive at night, and yet you had a Mr. President who we are told knows how to whip everybody into line. So it's an exaggeration to think that you have the president who knows, who has all the answers in his hand. No, I want an healthy democracy. An unhealthy democracy, in my opinion, is a democracy where you have this one party running the executive and the other party checkmating them using the National Assembly. And the truth of the matter is that why should all those members of the other political parties not run to APC? Should they not run to APC? What do you expect? That has been the pattern of our politics. Our politicians are not politicians based on ideas. They are politicians based on choices and opportunity for advancement, personal advancement. And that's why we are in a mess, sincerely speaking. Because just within 2 weeks, you already have people who
are defecting already.
Who subscribe to this political party. And what is it that they have seen in terms of performance? Is it the three bills that Mr. President signed to law now that has made Mr. President or APC an outstanding party that they are now to abandon their own party? Because I've not seen any outstanding performance yet. The Student Loan Act that was signed is discriminatory. Section 3 is discriminatory. Section 9 is discriminatory. Is that the reason why I would not leave, for example, if I'm a Labour Party, I now abandon Labour Party because Mr. President signed or is it the electricity bill that is signed to law, or is it the Data Protection Act that is signed to law? These are the issues. What has generated the fact that what the President done to warrant that somebody who is in PDP within 2 weeks, within 7 days,
we jump ship.
So the problem is that our politicians are not politicians of ideas, and even if they have any idea. They are not strong in it. They are not thick in it. They are not holding firm to it. We are not seeing people who are leading us based on ideology, based on philosophy that is personal to them. And I fear that we don't, at the end of the day, move to become a state of a country of one political party. It will be disastrous because we are just going to be in a state of perpetual deceit. Look at how much of the unveiling, the secret coming out from the past administration, my brother. How are we going to continue to live like this, where whether it is true or not, I can't corroborate it, that the former CBN governor is saying that Mr. President gave me instruction to release social amount of money to the Minister for Humanitarian Service every month. And I have been doing that, whether within the books or without the books. So it's just because we had one single form of government throughout. The APC was in charge of the executive, the APC was in charge of the National Assembly, and Nigerians were being lied to. And duties or functions that National Assembly ought to do, and at the time they were supposed to do it, they failed to because of this one part. So I don't want that question, and I fear. I don't think Nigeria should be a country with a single political party. That would not be healthy for us at all.
All right, I'll open the phone lines now to get contribution of our listeners. Again, it's Political Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM. We have Barrister Abiodun Bakari on the phone line with us, and together, and of course, we have Joseph Olorunso in the studio, and together we have been looking at two major issues, of course, two dominant issues in the political space. The first being that spotlight on the judiciary, of course, taking the lead from the statement made by Senator Adamu Bulkachua, and of course, the statement of Senator Rochas Okorocha, basically using that as a foundation for what we have been talking about, setting the standards for the judiciary, talking about the independence of the judiciary as an arm of government in a democracy. And of course, we've also been looking at the legislature, looking at the results of the election of presiding officers, where that indeed what we had discussed about the strength of the opposition would have any effect at all as far as the 10th National Assembly is concerned. The phone number to call is 09136 0000410 091 36000410. You can also drop your comment on Facebook. Yes, we're streaming the show live on Mainland FM 98.3. We're also streaming live on YouTube, Mainland FM 98.3. You can call in and also drop your comments on our social media platforms. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am, Lagos.
Yes.
I'm Kawade from.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Sorry, I used to forget your name. I'm sorry.
My name is Saeed Fuad.
Mr. Saeed, good evening to you.
Good evening, sir.
God bless you, sir.
God bless you too,
I
sir.
greet the guests in the house.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, sir. You see, I am so hot. And when you hurt me, I think one must probably decide which way to go. And why am I here now? I think for the purpose of clarity, do we still have a stable judiciary? Do we still have a judiciary that will not continue to betray the trust we repose in them? And look at the issue of Papa, that elderly man. I watched him when he was talking. And in fact, the Mr. Senate President, the ex-Senate President, was trying to ask him to sit down, something like that, but he refused to answer me to that call. But what am I trying to say is this: if you are asked to come for a valedictory service, which means you have saying some kind of good farewell speeches, giving us opportunity that we have never known before, I think I want to give it to him because he owned up to responsibility to tell us the truth that was exactly what has been and will continue to happen. That they always go to buy what do you call it? Judgment. Thank you. You see, in fact, I am embarrassed. I won't say I'm not surprised because we've been hearing when you don't even contest inside primary, and then the same people that were probably being asked to be given opportunity to lead now as principal officers are those ones involved in such matters. That you don't appear, you didn't even probably appeared in the primary of your political party, and then at the same time you are giving up. Look at the Lawan too. He's supposed not to be in that setup any longer. because the man that was supposed to be there, you asked him to leave because APC set up some guidelines and this and that. In fact, I don't know how far we can go with it. But then, let me quickly round off by saying that what you see, drastic problems need drastic solution at times. CBN governors, if you see a number of people that died during the time he was redesigning what do you call it, the currency, it matters most that it must be dropped at that particular time, and I give it to President Tinubu for doing that. Nobody will ask for him. I mean, somebody killing somebody for a long time, and you are saying we should write letter again to defend it that brought him the source where he came in. I don't think we need to do that at all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kayode from Abeokuta. 09136000410. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you speak up or speak directly to the mouthpiece of your phone.
Okay, good. Can you hear me now?
Perfect now. Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone in the studio.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Robinson Chibik. I'm calling from Isheri Bokono.
Okay, Robinson, please go on.
Yeah, I want to make my contribution, with regards to the newly constituted National Assembly. You see, the problem we are having in Nigeria is that we always turn things upside down. Where it comes to democracy, the beauty of democracy is that the existence of checks and balances. The present system we are copying from America, you know that they have this, what they call a midterm election. That midterm election is where they used to balance up that issue. Example, when the government comes in, maybe a Republican president and a majority House and a Senate Republicans, leading. In the midterm, Americans
most times it changes.
The House. They will change one so that one can act as check
on the other.
To what the government is doing, and that's exactly what is happening now in the current government they have now. So, but in our own case, we try to boggle things up. This thing that's happening now will never help Nigeria, because I don't see a way that Akpabio or Abbas will go against what the president brings us, even when they know that those things are not right. So are we going forward, are we going backwards? And we are hearing that even though positions are now moving to the ruling party. So it's not helping matters at all. It's not helping matters. That's just my contribution. Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robinson from Bucknell. 09136000410. After this call, I take comments from our Facebook platform. Hello, good evening.
Bye.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
My name is Lao Taufik from Sudbury.
Yes, Lao Taufik, how are you doing?
Fine, sir.
Yes.
Following, so I greet you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. On that note, tomorrow, I will call your number small. You can contribute to your program too. Thank you very much.
All right, okay.
You see, we continue to see drama in our democratic system in this country. For me, I just enjoy you people for educative program like this, and I really thank you people, because I really landlords. Nigeria will continue to see, like I always say, until the day our leaders stand right. I'm telling you, to let people know this world is not so. Reality. On the day of the negotiation, Abba was here, the pastor was here, the other place. But the reality, true in life, to tell all our leaders what to do, the right thing, the kind of problem they are ahead for them to know. Nobody will tell them. And I'm going to each one of them get the church they are going, get the mosque they are going. But who will tell them the reality? That's why we saw this kind of a thing. It's everywhere. Like I said the other day, once you are not their member, you cannot get anything. Before you know it, say, go and bring this, go and bring that, go and bring this. That's why for me, I cannot be one of them. I will throw my foot away. Because I'm listening to you people. Educate me every day by day.
Thank you.
I go for my consent.
All right, thank you.
My brother. God bless all of you.
All right, thank you, Lao Taufik. We'll take comments from our Facebook page. We have Adewale Benson Abaru, and he's saying, I really enjoyed Political Roundtable. It's the best. It's been the best of politics on radio. Please keep it up. Thank you, Adewale Benson. We have comment from Kayode Olona. They were saying, sorry, it's been wrong. It is wrong to think that we must continue to treat urgent matters of public interest that perhaps has taken toll on the lives of the people, for instance, by simply going through the source by which some bad officers, incompetent officials that hold in trust positions of public trust in which they themselves don't worry about how much of betraying the trust of the people bestowed upon them. In short, drastic problems need drastic solutions. No one must blame the president here or even upon the whole allegations leveled against the suspended CBN Governor Govin Emefiele. That's Kaode from, I think from Abeokuta, but it's Kaode Olonode on Facebook here. We have Engineer Dami Adebi who says, you guys are really doing a great job. I must say, God bless you. God bless you to Engineer Dami. He also have this comment here from the same Engineer Dami who is saying, on the first issue, it's obvious the judiciary is not the last hope of the common man. It's obvious that it's been greatly influenced by so-called politicians for their own selfish interests. I'll therefore urge judiciary to try to redeem its battered image and suffering credibility going forward so that common man can get justice they deserve. The second issue, when it comes to politics in Nigeria, I don't believe there's any opposition somewhere. They are all the same as far as their interest is satisfied. I'm anticipating a worse 10th National Assembly than we had than the 9th one. Thank you. We also have Basil Chika who says Senator Yari has already made his point that he was backstabbed by some of his supporters who turned out to be sycophants. But to my assessment, there was a lot of money show in the old show. And on Senator Bukachua, that man needs no explanation than to round up for his unguarded statement and open confessions. Chika Bende from Trade Fair in Lagos. Thank you so much again. We are streaming the show live on Facebook and YouTube, and you can drop your comments there. On Facebook, it's Mainland FM 98.3. YouTube Mainland FM 98.3. 091 36 0004102. Issues on the table this evening. We have the first issue, which is about the independence of the judiciary, of course, taking the lead from the statements made by Senator Bukachua, and then, of course, some of the issues that we've raised as far as the independence of the judiciary is concerned. And then, of course, we are also looking at the legislative arm of government, looking at the results of the election that has brought in presiding officers for the 10th National Assembly, and we're asking ourselves, how truly independent can this 10th Assembly be to do its job when it comes to checks and balances? 091 36 0000410. Hello, good evening. Hello. Yes, good evening.
Good evening this evening.
Good evening.
My name is John the Great, calling from Akuwanjo.
Yes, John the Great, please go on.
All right. My greeting to our guests in the house.
Good evening.
In respect to what we are discussing this evening, there will never be independence of the judiciary nor the legislative arm of government. The executive have so much of power concentrated in their self. So they won't want that power to be devalued or to be reduced in any form. They won't.
Absolute power.
Absolute power, and absolute power corrupts. So if there is anything to be done to reduce that power, it is a Nigerian citizen that will put pressure on the government. Because forget our reps, forget our senators, they are just there for themselves. Tell me, what is the judiciary doing about simple laws that have to harmonize our country in terms of the things that concerns the common people? You go to court, they will keep giving you what? Pending cases. There are cases that have been running in court for over how many years? 5 years, 10 years. But the politician will go and get a case sorted out within a month.
Within a week.
Exactly. So, are you now telling me that there is a place for the common person in the country? It can never happen because the executive wants that power to remain with them. It's a terrible place we find ourselves in this country. I just wish there will be a turnaround, because for me, having expectation for this National Assembly or the judiciary is very far. It's far from it. Good evening.
But I encourage you to keep your hope. The judiciary still remains the last hope of the common man. There is confidence in it, and don't doubt it.
Anyway, my lawyer, I appreciate that. But then the truth of the matter is, the reality is telling us every day that there is something fundamentally wrong with our judicial system. And because of that, if there is nothing done to give that confidence into the heart of the Nigerian populace or citizens, there will never be that hope for the judiciary. Good evening.
Thank you, John the Great, and I understand why Barrister Bakre keeps trying to defend his constituency.
And if maybe you and Oga Bakare with others need to give us the characteristic of the common man.
Okay, well, we'll try and define that. I'll do my research and give you that answer. Maybe when we converge against on Sunday next week. 09136000410. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Very good evening to you, Mr. Wade.
Good evening, Prince Wise.
How are you, Mr. Joseph?
Good evening, Prince. I'm fine.
God bless all of you. Number one, when we talk of judiciary, you must be the bench and bar. Both the lawyer and judge, I think they look alike. We want to get to some judges today. If we go through some lawyer, you just want to talk to. So I know them very well. That's for that. And for the Emefiele, our analyst was saying that she had to pay the bill to the National Assembly before they remove the Emefiele. If you are get to know, they are taking the matter to all the money they pack is out. You think you need it here?
It's still an allegation of Prince Wise. All the
it's still an allegation, but we saw a lot. Confessional paper reported it today. Not a free book edition. So, when you want to get somebody, you should not give notice. All those documents, they say they are letting back from his house. How would they get it? So I know any officer that is beyond suspension. They are not sacking him. They suspend him. That is it. And for the legislator, I thank God the man that contested with Yatabe did not win the election. He was won today. Everywhere with Japa. Hey, it's a Muslim good party, Muslim return Nigeria to Muslim country. All that now we go around. And this man is spending the allegedly he spent a lot of money. So what I read today, what are we talking about?
All right.
And it's not a minute now.
You have spent more than 2 minutes. Just round up.
Okay. I see at the other time, when we talk of University of Politics, go to body law.
All right. That's for the politicians too. Hello, good evening.
Sorry, agree to.
Good evening, Obi.
Our new convert agreed to.
Good evening, sir.
Fuad, you see, you know what Okorocha said. Ahmed Lawan didn't take it lightly. If you notice, he was very mad, he was very angry with my people.
Yeah.
Because the thing was a very big insult to him. He didn't know what to do. And the only thing I want to say, you see, there's one legislator that came out and praised Ashwaji, if you remember, one Amobia organ.
Yes.
When they went, yes. You see, these people, they are not in APC, they are not in PDP, they are not in Labour. Why they are there for is for their interest.
But they have political parties. They rode on.
Yes, it's just a vehicle. That Amobi was the youth leader of APC in Niger State. And you know, he's the General Board of Solid Mineral General Minister, Uchoga, the General Board. He was the youth leader of APC in Niger State. He just used Labour. He knows that's what before he came there. What he did was not just saying it wasn't a mistake.
Labor to
yes, it wasn't a mistake. If you Google now, you see youth leader at their state APC before he came. He did not get ticket to APC. That's why he used Labour to get to that place. And for me, what Barrister said,
Bakari.
Let us not praise Aswaji too much. His sagacity. If Dangote comes to politics, he has sagacity because he will throw money. If they tell you how much they spend on this election that just gets through by federal house and say that if you hear the amount that went through, you will cry for this nation. Nothing like sagacity. If Aswaji was a poor man, you won't see any sagacity. No sagacity if you don't get money.
Poor man don't get sagacity.
Yes, now there's no sagacity. If that goes to company, you see the sagacity.
You go get sagacity
everywhere.
All right. Well, I don't know. He said the poor men no have sagacity. Hello, good evening. Oh my goodness. Yes, good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. I'm Joseph calling you from Lekki.
Okay, Joseph, please go on.
Yeah, thank you for your job.
Thank you.
Yeah. You see, your barrister, he praised Tinubu too much.
You did what?
He praised Tinubu too much.
Really?
That Tinubu is a great politician. See, somebody who spend money, who use money to do politics, cannot be a great politician.
There are no facts to that, Joseph.
Wait.
There's no facts.
Yes. Well, there's no fact. Okay, let me divert. If you look at somebody like Saraki, the way he plays politics and took over the Senate president without spreading money, you will know.
How do you know he spend money, Joseph?
He didn't spend money.
Okay.
Everybody, the whole world, know how he took over the Senate president there. Okay. And when he was here, listen to me, Maoga.
I'm with you.
When he was there, he was doing very well because the way and manner the former president was trying to borrow money from international community. Saraki was battling with them that no. He refused to sign many bills to borrow money from outside. And that was why he had problem with them. And they made all means to make sure they flush him out. And immediately he left. Look at what happened between that 2019 to Buhari left. Look at the rate of monetary this thing that we owe, international
debt, eh?
Thing that we owe. Yes. And I will tell you, you see, concerning this opposition, I am a PDP supporter.
Okay.
But I can tell you wholeheartedly, PDP are very lazy to oppose. They have no mind. They don't have any mind to oppose. They don't know how to oppose. They don't have opposition mechanism. Yeah, you got me right. They don't have opposition mechanism at all. They are very lazy. It's as if they are fear. They are afraid to talk to APC or whatever party. I can tell you, you yourself, you know. You understand?
I'm with you.
So, for what I am telling you, if you look at Tinubu, okay, like now,
you need to round up, Joseph. Eh? You spent almost 4 minutes.
Ahmed Lawa and Akpabio. On what ground did they came back as a senator now? They did not win the election. The whole world they know very well, and you know it very well. Everybody knows.
All right,
thank you. How did they come back to that house?
All right, Joseph, thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you so much. Eh?
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. 09136 000410. Political Roundtable 98.3 FM. Hello, good evening. Yes.
How are you, my brother? Good evening.
I'm fine, sir.
If anytime I listen to you and see what's going on in this country, I always cry for Nigeria.
Please don't cry, sir.
Look at what that lawyer was saying.
Your name, sir. Your name, sir.
My name is Victor from Onipan.
Okay, please go, Victor.
Supposing a Kore Madu case was in Nigeria, a Kore Madu will still be a senator by now. I'm telling you the God-fed truth. Look at what is happening. Look at what the way even that lawyer in your studio. Look at the way he's dribbling us.
He's telling you the truth about the law. It's not true.
Technicality here. Majority. We must win Abuja 25%. All these things are lies.
It is the law.
Which law? about four to the last caller say, my brother Fuad, it is me and you that will fight for this country. No politician will fight for us. I am telling you the gospel. Look at there was a particular country in I don't know where they increased the price of bread by just 1 kobo. No nation.
Argentina.
I don't know the name. Yes, they increased fuel now. All of us are rejoicing.
They increased. They suspended fuel subsidy without a plan for the people.
Well, we are rejoicing
and we are celebrating.
I love that. Let me say something. Ashwari said we should tighten our debt. They are tightening our debt for collecting 30,000 naira. How do they want us to tighten our debt?
Do you have belts to tighten?
I don't have belts, my brother. I don't have belts. They should stop dribbling us. Emi ati Walama Jaku Louis. Not what. So I'm there 1 minute. if American citizens are keeping quiet like like we are keeping quiet, American politicians we exploit them more than what we are experiencing in Nigeria today.
All right.
Until we say we should fight for ourselves, nothing will happen.
All right. Thank you so much, Victor from Onipan. I believe that the fight would have to be the advocacy we are making on the show, the comments, the agenda setting, the conversations we are having. It's still part of fighting for the soul of the country. Thank you so much, Victor from Onipan. 091 36 0000410. 091 36 0000410. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Fawad.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Yes, sir, this is Dio from Fagba. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, Dio from Fagba. How are you doing?
Fine, sir.
First time I'm hearing your voice on our radio. You're always sending messages, right?
I did call you some time ago with Sandra.
Okay, all right. Please go on, Dio.
Now, Adebantu sang in his song, Loyalty na cash and carry, objection na mortuary. Everybody gets agenda with their mercenary exercise. Now, if you look at what has been playing out in our judicial district, it's more or less like it's a kind of all this kind of transactional this thing. It's the judgment and every other thing has not been it's not the people have been saying on and if you look at what Mr. Fabio said, that what money cannot do, more money will do it. Yeah. So if you look at all that has been playing out, the Machina case, the Lawan case, I mean the what they call it, the Fabio case, and also Otokalu case, that in prison he was being left alone. I mean, just like that. The Bukachewa's revelation is like what he said is playing out so far. So you cannot blame the people when they say that judiciary now is not the hope for becoming man. If the justice, if the justice so far has been benefiting the rich and not the poor or the common man.
All right.
So it's just bad. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dio.
Justice.
All right, 091 36 0000410. We are still streaming the show live, Mainland FM 98.3 on Facebook and YouTube. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, your name, sir?
My name is Bethel. I'm calling from
Bethel from Orile.
Yeah.
Please.
I want to comment on the issue of judiciary.
Yes.
All your analysis are all right, but I want to, kind of encourage the judiciary to live up to expectation, because in the past few months and few years, it's like the judiciary have not been living up to the expectation of Nigeria. If you look at some, like in the case of Lawan and Akpabio and others as well, then I think, and if you look at also, again, in addition to that, when the president was making an announcement on the June 29, June 12, Democracy Day. Yeah, he made the mention of about the judiciary, the constitution of democracy and all the rest of it. Some of the statements sound like as if he was threatening the judiciary when he said that the reform has just started and some things cannot be tolerated. So I think I found that statement somehow threatening. I don't know if someone can clarify me on some of the statements that you made concerning the judiciary as regards to that. So, like I said, I want to encourage the judiciary to live up a picture of the common man, so that when you go to court, you know that yes, you get justice as deserved. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Bethel from Orile. Again, I think we can't lose Barrister Bakare. What do you think? Oh, okay. We'll try to reconnect back to him. 09136 0000410. 09136 0410. You can also watch the show live on Facebook, Mainland FM 98.3, and also on YouTube, Mainland FM 98.3. You can also drop your comments here. We have a comment here from Kayode Olono. They will 2 years awaits the defaulters of that student's loan. What a scam. Parents must show their tax receipt, sign guarantors form with a lawyer of 10 years call experience. What a scam. Because who is the diligent lawyer that will sign such, not to talk of a civil? Again, there are still conversations about the student loan and about some of the conditions attached to it. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. How you doing, man?
I'm good.
This is Jordan from Johnny.
Abiodun, how you doing now?
I'm alright now. All about Nuruddin.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. He's going to attend to.
Quickly, I think I've lost hope in Nigerian judiciary because I was following the case, this issue of Fabio and that one. I was seeing how they will perform that magic again, and I was so ashamed. At the end of the day, those guys are in the Senate again. So, how do we define injustice enough for that? That's the perfect example of injustice. So, it's now justice now being sold to the highest. It's a shame.
Well, allegedly, we don't know whether anything was sold or not.
Wait, what? We are not children. Now, even if we give that case to a 10-year-old guy,
No.
Wait. Someone that didn't participate in the primaries. These two guys did not take part in the primaries. Now they are in the Senate.
Go and read section 152 of the Electoral Act 2022. It's not a matter for argument. Just go and read it.
I do Nigerian lawyers. This was, but they didn't take part at all now. They did. I'm just sad. No. They just see white and tell you it's red. I don't know where this country is going. It's very painful. Yeah. Thank you, man.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Biodun. You know, by Sabaka, again, the people have a way of interpreting the law that may be different from the way lawyers do. but there are people who argue that the law is even not rocket science. It's still written in English. So what's the big deal? Huh? All right. 091. Hello. Good evening. Hello. All right. Let's take this message from Facebook. Okay. Hello. Good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yeah. Good evening.
This is Timothy calling you from Ojo.
Yes, Timothy.
I like the topic you people were treating. See, when we were still in school, we were made to understand that the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature, they are equal. But in the Nigeria context now, we have seen that the situation that even the legislature are collaborating with the executive to swallow the judiciary.
I don't understand what you are saying. The legislature collaborating with the executive.
They are collaborating with the executive, yes, now.
Is that our attempt to confuse me?
No, sir. This is the reality of grant. See, I know Barrister Bakari is trying to protect where he belongs. That's why he's still giving us the hope.
He's explaining to us what we should know.
I know. That is how it's supposed to be. It is now for the highest bidder who can pay more to get justice. It's not how it's supposed to be. I pray for this ongoing tribunal case, so that justice can come up, so that we can have a new Nigeria, even for once. I'm talking about the last this is the legislatures. See, I see Tinubu as a master planner. He's already swallowing the legislature. Yes, I think he has already swallowed the legislature. See, I'm not trying to predict.
Depending on what you mean by swallow, but just go on.
Yes, because see, we are talking about the Ninth Assembly at the Bastan. This one, I don't know what the name I will call them. How it will be. See, they are the watchdog of the executive. They are the ones representing us, for Christ's sake. I don't know why it's happening like this in Nigeria. As anything, you can see what Fabio is just a way of pay back at Fabio what he did during the primary. What he did during the presidential primary. That yes, I gave you chance for you to contest. It's just a way of pay back.
All right, Timothy.
The Nigerian people, we are just. We are the house of God, for Christ's sake.
All right.
God will help us.
Let's take these messages from Facebook. We have Moses Udeme. who says, I greet everyone in the studio and the job and for the job well done on educating the masses on what's playing out in Nigerian politics. As for Akpabio, imagine as the Senate president, I see nothing good coming to this country because they are all the same for their selfish interest. I don't imagine him contradicting or questioning the president on any wrongdoing or steps. May God help us in Nigeria. And that's from Moses, I guess from Anthony. And then I have here Shepard Unwise, who said that for the judiciary, the people of Nigeria, MBA and the media should speak up to save it from ridiculous judgments. Good evening, sir. We also greet you, Wanze Shepard. All right, 09136 000 410 09136 000 410. Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Ward.
Yes, good evening, Damilola.
Yes, good evening, sir. I greet everyone in the studio. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Honestly, we're talking about the independent judiciary would have been realistic, but the executive precisely arms of government cripple the systems of the judiciary. As a matter of fact, if you look at it very closely, they are independent armed, and they're supposed to render the justice to the masses. They are the ones that are supposed to defend the masses to the core. When it comes to political matters in Nigeria, in fact, the judiciary has become a kind of instrument in the hands of the executive. They move them around, they turn them around the way they want. And that is why the beauty of democracy cannot reflect, in fact, cannot be actually, be granted to the world if the judiciary is not independent. And that's why time to time we talk about independent, but the executive will never allow them to be. I don't know. Maybe the Judicial Commission need to actually move out of the arms of a government of executive. Otherwise, they won't be able to stand very effective and actually perform the process very well. And the democracy of this country will never go to the next level except we have the independence of the judiciary. Mr. Bakar has said about the thing that he was just trying to defend the sector. And at the same time, the point is that these people are very corrupt and they will not even come out frankly to tell Nigeria, what they're actually into. We blame executive, legislature, but judiciary, that sector, honestly, that arm alone, extremely corrupt. When you sit down with that wig and everything.
Allegedly, Damilola.
Yes, allegedly. The thing is that, believe me, sincerely, a lot of things are going on there. And except those people have been actually well orientated, actually, put up together, they will not be able to defend the masses. They were supposed to
for your information, I'm a lawyer and I'm not corrupt at all.
Yes, Mr. Bakari, I didn't say you are corrupt. I'm only saying generally. I didn't measure your name.
All right, thank you, Damilola. You again really have to bring in a lawyer really to come defend that constituency. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. Hello?
Yeah, good evening, yes.
Hello, good evening. My name is King, calling from Sunlight now.
Yes, King. Please
go,
sir.
Mr. Sai,
yes,
I don't know how you do it. This is a bit personal to me. I don't know much about current affairs or politics. It is from your station I got interested in it.
All right.
During this last election, when I got the result, I was a little bit depressed, so I had to stop. But this is what you do every day. And I feed on what you talk already and some other speakers. That's what I feed on, just to update myself. And you still talk every day, and yet you're not still affected. You're a man. I like that.
We can't give
For all the speakers in the house, I greet you now.
We greet you too.
Yeah, you see, the last two times I spoke, the first time I said, if they don't preach what they say, these are people that do not preach what they say. They only deceive. And the second time I spoke, I said, if they are successful about this plan of National Assembly, the opposition, if they don't change, they will lose the election. If they don't come back to APC, they will lose election 2027. And those APC members that are agitating, if they don't fall in line back to their grass, they will lose the election in 2027. And I was happy when your speaker said we are heading towards
A one-party
one
state.
party state. That is the meaning. This is obvious. We can all see it. It is coming. Let's not deceive ourselves. With what is on ground, 2027, we might not really have it one party, but we will all know this is where the result is going by the time we go for election. Please, Nigerians, like one man called and said, that is what's going to be. We might not going to be revolutionized or something, but we'll keep on talking. Nigerians, we are not talking, we don't talk, we are too gullible. That's our problem. Everything, let's move on. Everything, God will take over. When it is time, if you don't talk, this is how it will be forever and ever. Have a good day, Said.
All right, thank you so much, King. I appreciate you. God bless you. All right, 09136000410. We take, I think, the last call. So I allow Mr. Bakari and Joseph Folon to have their final take on the show this evening, and then we'll call it a day. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Right. Just 30 seconds, Dayo from Fagba. Now, is it ordinary when APC members will tell you that if the team does not benefit you, that you should go to court? It is, it's like they have their people or their brothers or this in court that just go there and they will have their will. That's what they will tell you.
We have no choice than to just believe in the judiciary. And I always say, when it comes to court, you see, listen, Dayo, when it comes to court decisions, we've seen court decisions in favor of APC, in favor of PDP, in favor of the Labour Party. Osun State, for example, the eventual court decisions went in the favor of the PDP against the APC. So again, we can have our issues with some of the judgments from the judiciary, but the reality is that we still have to believe in them.
Okay, but their brazenness is showing that that thing is very, very. It's possible for them to win it at all costs.
No. Let's just wait to see what happens at the court. Thank you so much, Dayo from Fagba. All right, Mr. Bakari, your final take on the show this evening.
Yes,
1 minute.
I'd like to respond to one of the callers, I think Prince Wires, who was trying to give us, he wasn't speaking law, he wasn't speaking legality, but he was speaking morality.
Okay.
Trying to tell the listeners that what Emefiele did was disastrous, and the president cannot wait. I think the president had waited to follow through the National Assembly. How would they now see dollars? Those dollars that we are seeing that has no connection to Emefiele. We are just seeing them on social media, and they say it's Emefiele house. They got that money in Emefiele's house. Nobody has evidence to that.
As far as we know, by Mr. Bakari, if there's any case against Emefiele, we'll have to see that in court, not in the media or the pages of the newspaper. Yeah.
So my point is that that's part of the problem, the challenge with an average Nigerian. They are people of the moment. They work by the expediency of the time. So Emefiele has done evil, so the president must get him out. Therefore, he can get him out anyhow, even if it is against the spirit of the law. And that's why I must tell Nigerians that yes, there are issues with the judiciary. Yes, there are certain bad side of it, and there are bad elements within the judiciary. But the judiciary remains, and I am happy that you have emphasized that constantly. The judiciary remains the last hope of the Nigerian people. The judiciary is working. The judiciary is delivering judgment in favor of the poor. It is delivering judgment in favor of the rich. It is delivering judgment in favor of APC, in favor of PDP, in favor of Labour Party, in favor of NNPP. The judiciary remains the hope of Nigerian people, and Nigerians must have confidence continually on the judiciary. And I can tell you, all the issues therein with it is because of the overbearingness of the executive, like one of the callers said. And that is the area Nigerians must wake up to challenge.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Bakari, for your brilliant contribution. Joseph Folorunso, 1 minute.
Yeah, and moving forward, I want to just appeal that we should change the permutation. If
all right.
you look at the number of security personnel that follow a judge in Nigeria,
okay,
and the number of security personnel that follow a local government chairman, who some of them they are just bloody, let me just bloody illiterate. You now know that if you are a judge, you need to use your tongue to count your
teeth. Okay.
So a judge that is delivering some sensitive judgment.
Yeah, exposed to all manner of pressure and insecurity.
Just one police at the front of
and then look government has almost like 5 or 10.
Then you are telling me the judge should not think
coward to some intimidation. Yeah.
If we believe that the judiciary must be independent. Please, we must protect them with everything. By the kind of number of security personnel with the governor or the local government,
and then
or
you see a judge that's going with just one.
The judge will say, yes, I believe if I deliver this judgment, my life is safe. But even if we continue to treat them the way we are treating these judges now, they will do the backward arrangement. Then at the end of the day, they deliver judgment. So
all right. Like again, I think what Joseph Folorunshor is trying to also put on the table is the way we treat our judges, the kind of protection. It's almost completely different from the largesse you see with the executive and the legislature. So I think that again, it's also something that we must continue to talk about. Well, this is where we call it a day on the show Political Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM. It's been an interesting one. Barrister Bakare, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right,
it's a pleasure.
Yeah, Joseph Folorunshor, thank you also so much for joining us this evening. Well, we'll continue to talk about Nigeria. We can't give up. Judiciary, we'll continue to talk about it. The legislature, the executive, we'll continue to set agenda. That's why we have Political Roundtable on Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Sahid Fuhas. Let's do this again next week.
Mainland 98.3 FM.